High school football playoffs are on hold in the Mountain State after a ruling last night by a judge. This is a breaking news alert.
Yeah, today the SSAC saying that they will delay playoff play for all classes and go ahead and appeal the decision to the West Virginia Supreme Court.
So WSAZ's Curtis Johnson is live for us tonight. Curtis, I know you spoke with the SSAC Executive Director David Price about all of this.
Yes, Sarah, we just spoke about within the last couple hours, and yes, it's been a couple days of navigating the unknown for high school football teams in our region. Tonight, those teams are learning officially what many may have suspected. They will not be taking the field for playoff games this week. High school football playoffs in West Virginia are on hold. The West Virginia Secondary Schools Activities Commission announcing Tuesday it will delay the playoffs as multiple court cases work their way through the system.
We understand the frustration, definitely, of all the parties involved and want nothing more to put the focus back on our student athletes and their pursuit of their championships. However, we've got to abide by the decisions of the court and their timelines.
So why is this happening? It comes after multiple school districts sought injunctions, Wood County Schools being the first. That district's injunction was granted on Saturday, which changed the playoff matchups and how many playoff points teams received. That injunction also resulted in 4 schools that would have been in the playoffs being eliminated without ever taking the field. 2 of those teams, Point Pleasant and Tulsa, are in our area. Then, late Monday, a Mason County judge granting an injunction on behalf of Point Pleasant High School. That injunction required a play-in game between Point Pleasant and St. Albans, as well as Capital and Hampshire. Both St. Albans and Capital made the AAA playoffs thanks to the initial Wood County injunction. Now, SSAC Director David Price says his office will ask the state Supreme Court to overrule all of the injunctions and reset all of the playoff rankings and pairings to where they were Friday night. And basically those previous projections that had Tulsa, Point Pleasant, Westside in the playoffs would be what you would then go forward with if you prevail.
If that is the ruling of the Supreme Court when we appeal this. And again, that's our goal. That's where we want to be.
Westside High School is scheduled to argue its request for an injunction in Wyoming County tomorrow. And Tulsa High School in Wayne could seek its own injunction either tonight or tomorrow. Both of those schools also would be left out of the playoffs by the Wood County injunction. Tim?
All right, thanks, Curtis. SSAC Director tells us that he hopes its request could be filed as early as tonight at the state Supreme Court.
We've seen legal action taken in different pockets of the state, vouching for some of the schools who were bumped out of those playoffs. An
injunction filed in Mason County after Point Pleasant was bumped from the playoffs actually offers a potential solution for the AAA playoffs anyway. Joseph Payton spoke with administrators at Point Pleasant about what they hope comes from the injunction filed on their behalf.
When the regular season in West Virginia ended on Friday night, Point Pleasant was one of 2 schools in AAA that thought they made the playoffs, but would soon find out otherwise.
And they did everything they needed to make it happen. And then Saturday morning, we're in. Saturday night, we're not.
Principal William Cottrell said he immediately started looking into what could be done, and ultimately, an injunction was filed in Mason County Court.
With this, of course, we were out, so we have no game, but as a school, we feel like we should have a game.
Originally, Point Pleasant was in as a 15 seed, and the Hampshire Trojans were in as a 16 seed. The sudden recalculation of playoff points replaced the 2, with St. Albans as the 15 and Capital jumped up to 10, bumping the Trojans out. So Mason County Schools filed an injunction requesting a solution, 2 play-in games, where Point Pleasant would play St. Albans and Hampshire would play Capital. Winners advance to the 16-team field, and the rest of the playoffs would commence.
We absolutely do not want to hurt anybody throughout the process, and we were very careful about that when we were filing. That's why we wanted to add a solution and say, hey, why not just add an extra round? That way our kids who have worked their hind ends off all year long for something, and whoever it might be, Capital or St. Albans, they've done the same thing. Why don't we let them play, and the winner moves on?
The WVSSAC has received a copy of the injunction with this proposed solution, but no decisions have been made about how the SSAC will move forward with the playoffs in any of the 4 classifications.
I hope they look at it and say, hey, this is a way out of this issue, because it's not one that we created. It was created way above us.
In Mason County, Joseph Payton, WSAZ.
So obviously this is very fluid, an ever-developing story, and we'll be sure to keep you updated here on the air and on WSAZ tonight as more information becomes available this evening about how the SSAC plans to move forward.